The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
All right, welcome to another edition of PA High School Football Report podcast. I am Eric Epler from PennLive, and of course, my colleague on the other side is Dan Sostek. Dan, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing very well, Ep, as my chair creaks like crazy. I'm doing very well. Plenty of football still to talk about. It's May. It's May, and we're still talking about the high school football. So glad we get this is why they sponsor this podcast, right? Because we never run out of stuff to chat about.
No, we're like we never go dark.
Yeah,
never go dark on football.
No,
that's for sure. Yeah, we had a couple of East-West games on Sunday. We got a chance to check out with our boy Evan Wheaton, who's somewhere. I don't know where's that kid today. I don't know. He's all over the place.
I mean, Evan wasn't at the East-West games. He was at the Under Armour.
Oh, that's right. He went to the Under Armour.
Yeah. So
I wanted to give him some play.
Yeah, so he went even further. So of course he did. Of course he's in Baltimore.
Yeah, he's been making trips. He's been in Baltimore. He's been visiting some camps, some workout sessions from area high schools, and getting kind of kickstarting our 2024 high school football season.
Yeah.
Which of course starts with camp in August, but there's all kind of stuff going on now. Workouts, 7-on-7s, which are seemingly every weekend between now and August camp. And of course, we'll get into all that stuff too, and scheduling on future editions of the PA High School Football Report. But now we're going to talk a little bit about some recent news. Dan, we didn't get to this last week, but of course, we know now that Trinity will be looking for a new head football coach. Jordan Hill's 3-year run is over. He resigned his position, and not sure what's next for the lad. But so Trinity obviously had in the news in the offseason quite a bit. Of course, the big news was Messiah Mickens, a story that you had written about enrolling in Harrisburg.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in January. Is that correct?
Yeah. All the months blend together, but if I open that article, I think it would say January. So
yeah, well, it makes sense. It's between semesters, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's going to join the Harrisburg Cougars, and of course, that leaves a big void for Trinity at running back. Of course, Messiah Mickens is a big time recruit. He's committed to Penn State, and so Trinity will be looking for a lot of yards to replace from that guy. So anyway, and of course, their assistant coach, Mike Mowdy, took a job with Penn State fundraising. I don't know what his official title is. I have to look that up. But anyway, he has jettisoned out as well. So losing Jordan Hill obviously is a big loss for Trinity. Dan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, once the Messiah thing happened, you never wanted to kind of peg this stuff to happen, but it was something that you at least it became something that you thought, hey, this is within the realm of possibilities, right? Jordan's a rising star in the coaching realm. He's well liked all across various levels. He's an NFL player. He's a college star, second round pick. Obviously had such a great career with the Steel High Rollers and was doing pretty good things with Trinity. It felt like they were ahead of schedule, then kind of a disappointing end to last year. But kind of losing a player like Messiah Mickens kind of hurts a lot of that momentum. And I just know that Jordan's a guy that wasn't going to leave unless it's for something, for something worthwhile, right? Because he's a guy that generally does care about this area, football in this area, generally does want to help the kids in this area. And I imagine whatever his next job is, he's going to be doing that in some capacity. But in terms of the Trinity football program, they'll still have a chance, obviously, with the divisions shifting around a little bit and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even keep. I'm going to have to Google it again to figure out who's playing who this year. But you don't know. They also, I believe, Caleb Ray graduated, so they need a new quarterback as well. So yeah, it'll probably be a rebuilding year now for Trinity as they look for a new football coach. But yeah, like I said, I don't think this is some decision that I don't think Jordan made this decision because Messiah Mickens transferring, but I think that it's I probably just Jordan kind of decided this is how I can best affect football in the central PA area and beyond. So we'll see what the future holds for him, but he's always been a really good guy to work with. There've been some situations at Trinity where we've had to kind of ask some difficult questions, some questions that some people don't like answering, and Jordan's been nothing but professional, and we'll just if he can't answer them, he'll say, hey, can't talk about that. But it's always been really, really good to deal with, good to work with, and hope whatever his next job is suits him.
Yeah, there's always been a monumental list of expectations at Trinity. Most high schools, obviously, everyone wants to succeed, but there's almost how do I put this? There's almost a very strong outside pressure to succeed there too. And Jordan's always brought that sort of calming effect to a program, and obviously great credentials football wise. But I think it steals from the school almost equally as much as the football program, because he was also hired, I don't know, 2 months after the football coach to be part of the advancement team, to lead the advancement team there. He was an unbelievable guy in the hallways to deal with. Like you said, strong family guy, who has two foundations that he supports in the area. Grew up in Steelton, tight knit community, family oriented. He's got three small kids or three children now. Family man, just an overall just an impressive guy, top to bottom. So losing that kind of guy in the hallways and for students to talk to, not just football players, I think is the worst loss for Trinity too. Now, football wise too, obviously he did impressive things in 3 years, three short seasons. He's 3-6 his first year, and then all of a sudden you have the deepest run in history for the program, making it all the way to the state semifinals, and losing to Southern Columbia, which is everybody loses to Southern Columbia. So no slouch there, but he did bring a toughness to the program back. The culture was sort of back, and obviously he had a rising star in Messiah Mickens to sort of lead that path, and a bunch of other guys too that just sort of bought in, played their tails off, and that season in 2022 went 10-5 to reach the semis, and then of course last year you mentioned 8-4, losing to Camp Hill in the district final. So it could have been back-to-back district titles for them on his way out. So yeah, obviously this guy's destined for great things. He's got a plan and he's following it, and he'll do well with whatever endeavor he picks the next chapter of his life. And we wish him the best, of course. And like you said, he's always been great to us. He's always called us back right away. He's always, been up front, and I think that's that's the most noteworthy nugget, there for him is just the way he treats people and the professionalism he brings.
Yeah, there are people because there are
Yeah.
people when we're in this industry, we're covering high school sports. We're not covering internal government politics, but the way some people kind of interact with you sometimes, you kind of feel like you're trying to uncover FBI secrets and everything. And
Right, right.
Jordan's never been. He's always been. You know, if there's something you can't talk about, you can't talk about. But I think it's probably the fact that he's been at the higher levels and he knows that a lot of this stuff is small potatoes. So.
Yeah, and I applaud too. I got in touch with Elena Stewart, the athletic director of Trinity too, and I thought it was great on her part. She said the word privileged. We were
Yeah.
privileged to have him here.
Yeah.
That to me said it all. You know what I mean? Thanks to her for that. And like I said, we wish him the absolute best. He's going to do great things no matter where he pops up. So Jordan Hill, now 3-year run at Trinity is over. Uh, Elena had said that the administrative team, this was last week, was looking into um, what their next steps are, where they're going to post a position and maybe, the timeline to get a new coach in there because obviously it's May. So, we're closing in, we're not too far from preseason camp. So you want to get a guy in there as quickly as possible. So maybe that means just turning internally and pulling one of the assistant coaches up for this season at least.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll find out. We'll keep pursuing the story and see who Trinity brings in for the next wave for the 24 season. So
Yeah.
good luck to Jordan Hill for sure. Okay, Dan, let's turn our attention to we mentioned the East West games Sunday were played. Let's move on to the next All-Star game, the big one, Big 33, 66th or 7th one now?
It's one of those.
50, I can't remember what the number was.
I have the website open and it doesn't
I
say.
have the program somewhere. I can't remember but yeah, it is a 67th. That's right. It's 58, 58, 57 was the first one. So 67th. Against Maryland, obviously coming up at Chapman Field at Cumberland Valley on the 26th of May. This is all Cumberland Valley, of course, is hosting for the first time. Long time game at Hershey Park Stadium, and then moved over to Bishop McDevitt. It was a couple years at that was after 2 years at Central Dolphin. So it's moved a couple locations too. I think Chapman Field is a worthy host, which of course they now host the PIAA championships for a 4-year run. So Big 33 roster against Maryland. I first of all, I really like having Maryland involved in this. Number one is they love this event.
Oh yeah.
They love this event. They love the challenge. And again, it's been challenged. The PA has, I think it's 8-2 in favor of PA in the series since Maryland came back on board in 2013 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously PA has dominated this matchup, but Maryland always has such enthusiasm for this event. The way they select their team, I think, is awesome. It's invitation. They go to the Under Armour site in Baltimore and have camps. And the coaching staff is always great to work with. The officials behind the scenes are always great to work with. And they really enjoy this. So I think that's a big part of having a successful Big 33 every year is an opponent who really, really wants to be here and really, really wants to kick our tail. It hasn't happened often, but it has happened. So let's run through the PA roster a little bit, Dan, and guys that pop out to you and you really want to watch on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to narrow it down. There's so much talent on this PA team, even with all the people saying, "Hey, I can't make it anymore," stuff like that. But I don't know. It's hard. It's always hard for me when you look at these rosters to look past a guy like Kenny Wosley. Just one of them.
Right.
That kid is so good. I mean, he would have been one of the better kickers, I think, in
Probably, yeah.
if he committed full time that, because that was always fun to me watching him with that. It's like, oh yeah, their starting cornerback going to Penn State is also their kicker, and it's not one of those kicks that barely gets over the upright. He's looking like David Akers out there. So, but that kid's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees the field immediately when he gets to the college, and
Yep.
That dude is such a good football player. So Kenny Wosley is a guy I'm excited about, and then I've got to bring up my the future Pitt Panther Cam Lindsey. But every time we talk about him, I have to say it's not because he's going to where I went to college. I think you agree with me. Every time we've watched that kid play football,
Love it.
He is a Western PA football player through and through. Right? He's a linebacker. He's that always around the ball. There's when you see these players from the Aliquippa players, you always kind of get it. You're like, oh yeah, that's why that school has produced so many Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers. There's something about those Aliquippa football players. They just know how to play. So I'm excited about those two. Locally, we've got obviously Alex Irby. We've talked about him ad nauseum. Jair Ralston, another kid who I've always loved watching play football for McDevitt the last 2 years. One of the best branded players, the Thief.
The Thief.
I love that nickname so much because when you watch Jair play football, I think he might have set a record for most fumble recoveries at Bishop McDevitt or somewhere close. Maybe most turnovers, but the way he would pick up some of those fumble recoveries are not. He's not hit sticking guys. He's literally running up the dudes and flat out tearing the ball from their breadbasket and running away with the football. It's just a special player that I think he's going to be a really good player up there at Kent State. So we've got a lot of McDevitt players with Nick Slogic, Nevin Hopkins, as well as Jair. Also have a couple of the Susquehanna Township guys and Dorian Smith, an underrated running back, and Tymere Williams. And then we got Hayden Johnson from Mannheim, who has been on this podcast before, and I know I'm really glad he made this Big 33 team because I thought there was a chance he would get a little overlooked because he's not exactly the flashiest quarterback of all time, right? He's just kind of he just reads the field and just basically drop back, knows what to do pretty much every play, and there's a reason he wins a lot of football games because he knows how to play the quarterback position at a really high level. So I'm excited to see both him and Alex split the snaps there at quarterback.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think Alex is, you mentioned nauseum. I think he's nauseous that we keep talking.
Yeah.
I think he's.
Well, then he should throw a few less touchdown passes, and then we don't.
Yeah, exactly. Just hand it off, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we'll talk about this, but I think he's tired of that.
Yeah.
A couple guys too that you mentioned, and Dorian Smith, I think he's got a, you know, again, I don't want to put any more pressure on him, but obviously he's undecided on where he's going to go, or if he's going to play college football, and you know, you never know who's watching in this thing too. So if he gets it, you know, has a decent game, some couple nice runs, he's working behind a pretty good offensive line, we think, in this one. So you know, it might help open some doors for him. You know, you have these kind of things, and you mentioned Cam. You mentioned the Aliquippa guys anyway. Cam Lindsey he's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
because you never know. It almost seems like, first of all, he's in on every tackle, but it almost seems like at sometimes he's not paying attention, and then he's at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah,
like you're like, how, you know what I mean? Because he's just having fun.
Yeah,
he's having fun. I'll give you a quick little sideline story from the state championship games. He had just made a tackle. He was coming off the field, and we were standing next to a guy who had a really awful Super Bowl coat on. It was like Super Bowl 16. It was one of those.
Oh yeah, I remember
one of those not velvet.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Rayon.
It's like a Letterman jacket.
Like a Letterman jacket, but before the Letterman jackets were like like actual material.
Yeah,
this was that weird satin crap.
Yeah,
you know, with the waistband, colored waist. It was awful. It was 15 different colors. And Cam coming over, he's got grass in the corner of his helmet. You know what I mean? After he just making stop, comes over and he sees the guy and he's like, "Man, that's crispy." He's called the coat. Called it. Just walked right by him, and that's crispy.
Yeah, Aliquippa's. If there's one program that I wish we could cover more, but that it weren't three and a half hours away, I would watch every Aliquippa football game. They're just so much fun to watch. They're just
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun to watch that guy play. And you mentioned too Hayden Johnson, and I'm glad you mentioned him because he's the most unassuming cat I've seen. Like, he is so mellow.
Yeah.
And then he just goes out and daggers you to death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just cuts you up.
Well, it's literally just he's kind of like, I think he'd be the first to say he's not the most athletic. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the mid-pen, but he knows how to play quarterback. And that's such an overlooked value because, you know, recruiting's all about how far you can throw and how fast you can run and how tall you are. And all that stuff's important when you're talking about the NFL and things like that. But I'll tell you, I trust Aiden Johnson to make the right play over and over and over again.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so much, especially in high school, there is so much value in having a quarterback that just simply knows what to do every single play.
Yep, without a doubt. And it's a great comparison too, because you know you have the left-handed 6'4" trigger man in Alex Irby, and then you got 6 foot Hayden Johnson, unassuming, just goes out and rips it apart. So it's a great sort of comparison between those guys. Um, so they're in good hands too. I got a chance to see them at practice a couple weeks
I'm
ago.
also excited to see Kyron Boyd from North Allegheny because I've heard
Yeah,
really good things about this kid. I've heard I've got to see him a little in the North Allegheny Harrisburg game. Anytime you're a wideout that can take the top off that Harrisburg defense, I think that
yeah,
tells you. Like people were saying after, it's like, yeah, he runs like a 4.40. I'm like, well, yeah, if you take the top off the Harrisburg defense, you probably have to run like a 4.40 or something like that. He's listed as athlete. It's a good class, a good positional classification for him because I don't know where he's going to play necessarily at the next level, but that North Allegheny team was so they were a well-oiled machine this past year until they ran into the even bigger well-oiled machine at the end of the year. But he's a kid that I wasn't sure if he was going to make the Big 33 just because he's not the biggest recruit in the world or anything like that. But
right.
I'm excited to see how he does among these guys.
Yeah, and Jaden Johnson, going back to him, he gets to throw to Landon Cannell, who's
Oh yeah,
I mean, to watch that kid play, we got a chance to see him a couple times this year too. Just an impressive athlete. He's going to Monmouth. They're getting the absolute gem
yeah,
of a guy.
yeah. I wouldn't be
And
shocked if he has like 1,500 yards or
I
something.
swear to God, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree with you. Like, and he's a kid too. Like the Monmouth people go, "Oh, he's coming in from Lank. Who's this kid?"
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, he's got 65 catches, 1,500 yards,
yeah.
17 touchdowns, and they'll start being on watch lists. And we're like, we're gonna say, we told you so.
Yeah.
So anyway, we mentioned a little bit about that offensive line. Of course, Central Dolphins Evan Bouchon is part of that. James Madison recruit. Zach Tomasovich, who's heading to Army, um, is a mountain of a man, and
This offensive line group is
it's
crazy.
it's it's pretty sick. I mean, and every year we do talk about this offensive line because it's one. When you're looking across and you're seeing 6'4", 300, pretty much across the board.
And then the one guy who's not 6'4", 300 in this group is Michael Hershey, who
Is her, yeah,
he's 270 pounds, but he's a heavyweight wrestler, state medalist. So I think that just adds 40 pounds onto you just by virtue of being
yeah,
as good of a wrestler as he is. So
yeah. Maryland's getting two of these guys too. You mentioned Hershey, and of course, Anthony Rob Sock for Central Dolphin, who's 6'5", 275, so he is under the 300-pound mark, but he's a mountain of a man too. So Maryland's getting two really good offensive line out of this group.
and
A guy that probably most in the area not familiar with, obviously, is Tyseer Denmark,
oh
Penn
yeah,
State recruit out of Emotep. Obviously, he was not eligible in the postseason last year after transferring from Roman Catholic. But I got to see Tyseer against Trinity. We mentioned Jordan Hill earlier in the show. Jordan Hill wanting to beef up, the toughness on his squad, scheduled Roman Catholic in that 2022 season. And Tyseer is, well, you just get it. When
yeah,
you see him, you just get it. And again, he's so fast, he's so talented, and he's an absolute gamer. I mean, he just I anticipate him because most people haven't seen him. He hasn't played since early November. Um, we'll get a chance to see him as well, and he's probably you don't want to say he's the most dynamic player on the roster, but I'm going to say he's the most dynamic
yeah,
player on the roster.
yeah.
He's just so impressive, and obviously Penn State, is getting a couple of these guys too. You mentioned Wosley earlier in the show, but Denmark is just, he's 5'11", he's 195 pounds, and he just runs right by you.
I mean, if it's not him as the most dynamic player, the other guy I would throw out there is maybe Jaja Boyd, just because that kid's so fun to watch as well.
Yeah, and
Former teammate of his as well, right at Roman Catholic.
yeah,
That kid is. I think he's head to Indiana now. He's following Kurt Signetti from the James Madison to
yep,
IU. I think I've said this on a pod before. But when you see that thing happen, when the coach goes from the group of six school to the Big Ten school, and then they still bring a recruit with them that was going to play James Madison. I think that tells you that they're not worried about what the kid's star rating is. They
Exactly.
know the type of football player they got when he got Jaja Boyd to put pen to paper, and he's like, "Please come with me to Bloomington because I'm going to need you."
That's exactly right.
And Jaja, he's not the biggest kid in the world, but he's a kid that you get the ball in his hands, and I think good things are going to happen. So I'm excited to see what he does as well.
Yeah, and Boyd was the first guy promoted, Dan,
Yeah.
in this thing for David Washington Jr. Obviously for St. John's Prep was originally picked, and he obviously bowed out.
Yeah.
But Boyd's
and we've got two. So it's funny, we've got two Boyds in this game after. Hopefully, I don't know if they're going to add up to what Tyler Boyd did in 2012 or 2013 or whatever. They might be able to do it by committee, but there's a good history of Boyds in the Big 33.
And I failed to mention too that Hayden Johnson also gets Aaron Enterline.
Oh yeah,
to throw to as well.
The all Mannheim group.
Penn State kid. Yeah, sorry about that, Aaron. I overlooked it real quick.
Yeah,
but I mean, so he's going to feel real comfortable in the pocket too. So for once, Alex is the guy who has to get up to speed, I guess.
Yeah,
I get those guys on the same page. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Amelia Agard, obviously the defensive back from Wisconsin or St. Joe's Prep going to Wisconsin. He's a late pull out guy, so he won't be there. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, we talk about the offensive line a lot. Lindsey, obviously, on the second level on defense there. A couple other defensive guys, Dan, that I really like is David Johnson is a guy I really like.
Yeah.
From Memotep Charter. He's going to Robert Morris, 6 foot 270. He's going to be a real big anchor there up front. He's not an easy move. I'll just put it that way. We even got a guy here, Ivan Bailey Green, obviously for St. Joe's Prep. If you're noticing a trend, yes, there are some St. Joe's Prep and Memotep guys on this roster. He's heading to East Stroudsburg.
Oh,
so he's a smaller guy in size, but not in girth.
And we also got Jasir Whittington, right?
Yep, and Whittington is your guy.
Yeah,
heading to your squad. He was really impressive in the championships, and I know he was impressive all year, but I had not really focused on him in the previous game that I saw in Motep, and I really focused on him in the championships, and it was eye popping.
Well, he's a guy that's just kept putting on weight, right? Because he wasn't always this big defensive tackle, right? It was more he had the frame. He was playing linebacker. He's listed now on the Big 33 side as 280 pounds. So I think he's put it. I think he's put it on, and it's not been detrimental to his game. I guess you could say so. I mean the defensive line. I just think the trenches just keep getting. They're just always the PA is always going to have those kids in the trenches, right?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why Maryland hasn't had a lot of success running the football.
Yeah,
a little bit last year, but it was sort of that. I think it was more the will of the guys from Maryland than it was from the fact that there were actual holes there.
Yeah,
it's just Maryland keeps getting a little bit better and better every year too.
Yeah. And then I'm also really happy to see. I know we were talking about McDevitt kids earlier, but really happy to see Nevin Hopkins make this list. He worked back from an injury a couple of years ago. I just think he's such a he's such a weapon there as a safety. He's as hard of a hitter at that safety position as you could find. Just a really tough, hard-nosed football player. I think we all were there that game against Emotep 2 years to open the season 2 years ago. First defensive play of the game. Nevin Hopkins coming off, I think it was the torn ACL. His first defensive play, he fires straight through the backfield for a tackle for a while. And we're like, oh man, this kid's back. Mm-hmm. I was honestly surprised he didn't generate more, higher level college interest than he did, but I'm glad he has one more chance to, showcase the type of safety he is, because he's a really fun player to watch.
It was, it's interesting that, you always, sometimes you talk about timing and where you're at and this and that. You talk about a lot in college ball and minor league guys in baseball and things like that, timing and who you're behind. It was almost, Nevin Hopkins can do so many things.
Yeah.
That he did so many things in McDevitt. Now that's good and bad. Obviously he's a versatile player, but it's also like he couldn't really settle into one position.
Yep.
Because McDevitt had guys like he was the third option at wideout.
Yep.
He played corner. He could play safety. He's fast enough to play, strong safety, or hard enough to play strong safety. So those kind of things. He could play outside linebacker if you needed to.
Yep.
He returned kicks and punts at times. So it was those kind of things. Like he never really got to settle into one position. And McDevitt, sometimes that happens because, talent, you typically talent at McDevitt and deep talent. So, and then the injury you mentioned, Seuss, it kind of derailed him a little bit too. So I think some of those reasons were why he maybe didn't get the more big time, bigger offers and stuff like that. But I agree with you. I love the fact that he gets a chance to play in this. He's certainly deserving of it. He's a whale of a player. And of course the other McDevitt kid is hitting about 460 right now in baseball. And Nick Logic, who's going to play both at East Carolina, baseball and football at East Carolina. So, so that'll be interesting. That's. I mean, you're doing a lot right, man. When you can play two sports at a Division I school,
and especially at East Carolina, which I've heard is a very nice campus down there too. So,
well, first of all, East Carolina's baseball field maybe as gorgeous as anywhere in the country.
Yeah,
I mean, it is fabulous. Plus, they're named the Pirates.
I love the color. Great colors. Great.
It is just vibrant. Just look it up when you get a second. Look up their baseball field.
Yeah,
and just whatever pictures are there, just snap on them. I mean, it is fabulous.
Yeah,
it's fabulous, and it's in a great part of the country.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it. I mean, perfect colors for a baseball team: the purple and yellow, and with the woods in the back. That's nice.
If I recall correctly, I think their scoreboard too. There is like, I don't know. It's like 300 feet by 300 feet. It's massive, but it is a great campus, and it is a great baseball facility too. So yeah. So anybody else, Dan, before we wrap things up?
I'm just going through the list one more time, and I mean, again, there's still so many guys that we haven't even talked. Jason Cross, safety from Bishop Canavan. I think he's committed to West Virginia. Another just awesome football player. The safeties. I feel like I just keep saying this is a great position group for every position group because it is. It's like we got to see him play. They should have beat Steel High 2 years ago. I think even you talk to Andrew Irby Sr., he'll be like, we should have. Steel High wins that football game. Because I can't even remember what happened in that football game, but it was a crazy football game, and he was a big part of it. Adam Aboria, Downington East Pitt commit as well. Really 6'6", 285. Like you said, this line's got some of the it has the two types of linemen, right? The big tall guys and then the stout guys. So just a really, really fun group that I think is going to lead to a good. And then even a guy like Eric Sanchez, we talk about St. Joe's Prep all the time. We talk about how you see these kids who run for like 400, 500 yards and then have these huge offer sheets. I think he might have a chance to kind of show people, hey, kind of that David Washington type. Hey, I might have only had 500 receiving yards, but I'm probably one of the best receivers. I think Eric Sanchez. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's probably a little better than his stat line indicates because the St. Joe's Prep has maybe 10 kids on their team that could be a 2,000 yard rusher in a different environment.
Plus, they always remind you too. We usually only play a first half.
Yeah, I mean it's true. It's true. So yeah,
exactly.
I think really good group.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and again, Maryland will come to play. I mean, they really will.
Yeah,
they've proven that a bunch of years. So Tom Gravers from Jersey Shore will be the head coach for Team PA, and of course, Andrew Irby is on staff as an assistant. The multi-state champion Andrew Irby of Steel High. So it'll be a Rollers love fest for those guys. So all right, that'll do it for this edition of the PA High School Football Report podcast. My thanks to Dan Sostek. And of course, check us out on PennLive.com for all your high school football needs. And we'll see you guys next week.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.